think about what would grab your attention as well. And I would say taking a point of view, any point of view is key. No one's tuning in for, tepid discourse. They want someone with whom they can disagree or agree with. That's where you'll see interaction. Not that that's what generates watches, but I would say having a perspective, a reason, an intent behind making the thing you're making does so much to drive and pave over any sins you may commit on the production end.
Yes.
By just having a reason to make the thing in the first place and being confident in that.
Mm-hmm. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the House podcast. We have two very special guests in studio with us today from REW, Mr. Justin R. Melville and Stephen Tadgh. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for having us, guys.
Why don't you guys give an introduction on what you've been working on and bringing to the public? We watched some of the RealTours. So why don't you tell our audience what it is that you're doing and how you're releasing it for the public?
Good morning. Thank you for having us in the house. It's probably going to happen a lot. This podcast is me saying in the house.
We didn't pay him, by the way.
No.
Say that.
But Bubbly did. We've just been in the craziest, few months of our lives. It's since September the 12th, we launched a whole Netflix quality series based around this idea that taking an Irishman around a neighborhood could be a fun thing to watch. And it's just been a phenomenal response. We've had the opportunity to partner with some of the most fun characters, realtors that are our favorite customers. And Stephen has seen some wild and woolly places, more than I think he's seen in his total time in Canada.
Yeah, for sure. It was a fun little adventure touring around BC. 14 distinct communities. 13 of them I'd never thought I'd actually visit, but very happy I did. And seeing what is outside your front door and what surpasses the boundaries of your garden fence, while being toured around by an expert and while getting paid for it for me. And that's the best thing. I'm 2 years in Canada, so all of a sudden I have this massive wealth now thanks to this project.
Why are we so lucky
Thanks,
to be
Bubbly.
sitting? Why are we so lucky to be sitting next to you guys? What do you guys do with REW?
Well, Jenny, we know each other well. So I'm the vice president of brand. So over the last few years, I've been working on turning REW from something you might remember as a newspaper back in the day.
Yes,
I'm trying to
receive those.
Yeah, we've got people who used to deliver it that work for us now.
Oh, wow.
They're on the tech side now?
And so how many
they
years?
are on the tech side, actually. You joke.
How many years has REW been in business?
48 years.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Almost as old as me. I'm joking. I'm 48 years old.
A bit off,
Just
yeah.
look at it. So my job has been trying to build a brand out of a website. And, when we've worked together, a large part of this is around creating content or trying to be more intentful with bringing more authentic content like this to the market.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've done that through events and panels and we believe at REW that it's through partnership that we can do our job best, right? So we can't make the home seeker experience positive alone. It's essential to have good partnerships with the best realtors in town. And unlike anywhere else I've ever been in the world, Vancouver Realtors are actually great.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Wow, true testament.
I don't mean to blow smoke or anything. I don't mean to alarm you, but there are some parts of the world where real estate agents do not have the best reputation.
Oh, that is interesting.
Never heard that before.
You've never heard that?
No.
Yes. And so, it's just part of, I guess, how we like to work is to share what we're doing and do as much as we can together.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say this. I've noticed with REW, you guys have had a complete revamp, very interesting content, awesome people that we've met through REW and some other events as well. So I think that you guys are doing a great job in terms of partnerships and bringing that quality content for the home seekers is very exciting to watch. So thanks for doing that.
I mean, you guys know it's never been better to be in the or more important to be in the content game. And like, I mean, if you look at other sectors like automotive, where, you know, you watch YouTube before you buy anything, you know, we really want to be a part of creating that kind of content for in the real estate community. And that's why it was like, not to like, again, blow smoke in the other direction, but finding a creator to work with has actually been such a game changer, you know?
Well,
and that's been exciting.
Before we get into discovering more about RealTours, because we have a lot of realtors that will be listening to this episode.
Oh, that's how the name came
Get
out
it?
together.
Yeah, there we go. It's so brilliant.
It used to have a Z on the end.
Look, it's a collaborative process, folks.
Love it.
And so what do you do on the show?
And we're asking this to Stephen right now for those of you that are not watching online.
So I originally work in the content creation space, both in front of camera and behind camera. And 2022, May 2022, I got an email on my personal website from a man in South Africa asking, could we have a call about some ideas to collaborate? And I was like, this is a scam. This is a thing. But it was Darren, and Darren sent over your TED Talk. He sent over a slew of information. Brian goes, no, we're legit. Let's have a chat. It's like, okay, let's talk. And thus began this, for me, nearly a 2-year journey of making a pilot series of RealTours, a show that was born originally from my idea that I didn't quite like realtors, because in Ireland, realtors have a very different dynamic and a very different way of working. And
interesting.
Justin, to his credit, just said, well, roll with that. And it turns out that we found out that the Vancouver Realtors, as you've just mentioned, have been phenomenal and have such a wealth of knowledge to share. So that happened back in, realistically, May to September 2022. Justin, I departed. I said, okay, the pilots are done. Thank you very much. I'll leave you guys alone now to go do your thing. May 4th, 2023, Justin gives me a call. He's like, hi, I want to show you what we've done, along with a cinema full of a load of other people. And I said, yeah, cool, let's go. Let's see what happens. And I showed up, and next thing I know, he has my face plastered on the screen. And he's saying, oh, we're going to do this thing again on a bigger scale. And it was very exciting. And then he comes up after, he's like, so you're in, right? I was like, well, I don't think I can say no at this point, can I? You have a room full of people just after seeing me on a cinema screen. And yeah, we developed the show from that pilot that was in 2022, and we expanded on it. We really kind of broke apart the bits that worked, to fix the bits that didn't work. And we built a show that I think best serves the home seeker community and has real value to a realtor, which is a large part of the REW business model. So yeah, I in short, 5 minutes later, I produce the show, and then I also host the show. So you see my mug on camera all the time.
You've got great energy
and a great accent.
You're the right person for the job.
Oh, absolutely. Why 14 episodes? What's with that number?
It's kind of how it shook out in the end. Everything was kind of on a very expedited timeline. And what we needed to do was find X amount of brave realtors in this lower mainland of ours, in neighborhoods that we felt had compelling stories to tell. And the way that ended up shaking out was, I think it's 16 individuals in 14 distinct neighborhoods that, from Sunshine Coast to Mission, Squamish to, I don't know, what's south of Surrey, Newton?
South Surrey?
Where?
Yeah, there we get all of that. So it just worked out at 14 was a good number.
Okay.
Turns out if we'd done any more, Stephen may have perished on set.
Oh, it was a lot, huh?
Long days, folks.
Yeah.
We can tire, people out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
How did the agents originally respond to the launch of the series? And maybe walk us through the selection process of the agents that are starring in each of the episodes.
Sure, I guess I can speak to the start. I won't embarrass anyone, but we announced the proposition at about 8:26 p.m. And at 8:28, a WhatsApp came into one of the account managers with credit card information. So
there you go.
Okay, that was a good response.
The reception was positive, yeah. There were definitely two camps. People who wanted to see proof, evidence that this was going to work. What are the numbers, the ROI? There was that response. Totally understood that. Unfortunately, we didn't have any information to share.
Yeah, it was brand new.
And then there was this other group of realtors who I must give credit, literally took a leap with us and, made the investment in their own episode and just went on the journey with us in pure faith. And so it was definitely a cultural fit that really connected us with this cast. These are folks who were like our people. So they understood what we were trying to do and they were okay to proceed with us as we figured out what making a season of a real estate show would even look like. So that was probably the most like, are you brave? Yes. Sign here, please.
I think once they met that criteria, the rest of it was most of the time kind of okay. We knew that they were with us. After that, it was like, well, what's the story? What's your involvement with the community? We didn't want someone in Coquitlam who's trying to sell something in West Vancouver and doesn't know the market.
Right.
So we wanted people who were really advocates for their community that they're in and where they're selling and where they're living. And I think that shines through in the episode more than anything.
And they wanted to own their market. You know, they're very passionate about owning their markets. And this is,
Absolutely.
For realtors, that's it's the ultimate brand platform. And some of them saw that early and just jumped on it.
So in terms of the scripts for the episodes, how was that? Was it planned out based on the locations or how did that work?
Yeah, it was. It was twofold. So RealTours was about being real, being in the space, not overly scripting anything. Creatively, that was something I was very keen on making sure we stayed true to. And thankfully, Justin was like, yeah, absolutely. We did script some bits. Any of the times you see the opening, the hooks where I'm in precarious situations, that's all scripted and written by myself. And many nightless or sleepless nights, Justin and I are like, well, could we do it here? Could we do this? What about a boat? What about a cliff face?
You were on a cliff.
Livestock.
But
livestock. That was another one.
Animals, children.
Yeah. In the middle of a construction site.
Down in the deepest pit, I think, in Canada at the time, because it's going to be the largest building. But in terms of the scripting thereafter, we really focused on the community. Why would someone have an interest in these places, and what can one community offer a diversity of home seekers or people who would watch this show? And we kind of blended that with the realtors. Obviously, that kind of initial vetting process of you're brave enough to come on the journey meant that all of them were willing to kind of throw themselves in. But for the most part, it was the community that we researched, and we let the realtor speak on their community, and then we were able to kind of probe some questions and kind of hit some hard truths in some and some beautiful moments in others. It was a little bit less scripted the further into the episodes you go.
How many episodes have aired now?
We're on episode 8 as of Tuesday.
8, that's it. Okay.
Yeah, so another.
I've noticed the agents are not they're not brand new agents. They've been well seasoned, and obviously this is going to cost quite a bit of money in an investment into the video and production. And what does it cost approximately, and what kind of returns have they seen?
I can give you the simple answer. The proposition to be a part of the season worked on a more closer to a sponsorship model. So it's more like each realtor invested in their own production. And we used that capital to put together both the production and the distribution plan. So seeing it more as a campaign is a more accurate rather than just a video. There are dozens of content artifacts that are created. So that was $24,000 was what we worked with per episode on season 1. And in terms of ROI, well, I mean, if you want to talk about views, as you know, this week we recently surpassed 1 million views across the season. And that was pretty much only with 7 episodes out, so at halfway point. And so, people are pretty delighted with that sort of performance. It certainly, I think we'd projected just over 1 million for the entire season.
Ooh, well done.
So we're stoked. So they're pretty stoked. And then I'll just share that, we've already had reports of new clients that have come into these realtors. I think Angie
There's 2 or 3.
I think are ready
Angie's
to buy.
the one in Squamish.
Yeah. And a few others, I think, have certainly clients in the pipeline or have actually sold. So
I like that. I like the part when you guys were walking on the, I guess in the city downtown of Squamish, and then you came across her ad on the bus shelter. Wait, we're like, hey, isn't that you?
and it has since changed because of Angie's belief in the project and the belief in her community. And now there's a massive photo of Angie and I and linking to the episode. And you can go into Squamish and see welcome to Angie's Squamish. You can click a QR code on the bus stop if you're waiting for a bus, and you can watch the episode while you wait.
It's
That's
a
awesome.
perpetual drip campaign, not just the video itself, like you mentioned.
And it will always be a part of the content experience on REW. So when people want to get to know Squamish, that's going to be part of the experience. Or Chilliwack. Chilliwack was the other one. Everything I've heard about Chilliwack as a newcomer has been, cornfields, smells a bit. Why would you go there? Back to the whack, all these sorts of things. And then when we got to see it on the show, I was like, hey, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Hey, like nice things going on over there. And, Christina, who had the episode, was just saying that it has, had a positive effect on people's actual perception. So there's actually an influx of people wanting to live in Chilliwack. Which could you imagine 6 months ago?
No.
I was getting my hair cut by my barber who told me he's gone to Chilliwack with his family on a weekend because he's like, oh, I saw District 1881 and it looked great.
Yeah, and Garrison's cute.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah, I mean, the personal branding of these and being affiliated with a corporation or organization like yourself, it really does add a lot of credibility to a person's reputation and brand. And so therefore, what can happen? They can charge more money, maybe. They can get more listings, get more buyers from it. But I really do think, being able to affiliate ourselves with a organization that's not CREA, that's not BCFSA, where there's a lot of mandates. It's a little
very credible.
Yeah.
And by the way, we feel very lucky to have it work in the opposite direction. Is that for an organization like ours to have credibility, it needs to partner with the best realtors that we can find, which is why we keep working together, Jenny. But yeah, it is phenomenal that it's a two-way street. That's the bit I love about it. It's a 1 + 1 = 3 situation. And yeah, like I say, we're just lucky to be on the receiving end as well.
Yeah. Well, do you you obviously haven't exploited this to Toronto, the Toronto market, Alberta market. Do you think it'll work the same?
How much do you say, Justin?
Ooh,
I've hit a spot here.
I'll say what I can, and then you're welcome to run with it.
Unless there is something that's spoiling.
The response from season 1 has been very positive. I would say we already have I wouldn't call it a waiting list just yet, but a list for season 2 down here in BC. But Stephen has itchy feet, and so we are actively exploring at least an expansion or a mini season, or at least a suite of episodes somewhere out of Vancouver is all I can really tell you, because we haven't locked it down yet. We're still researching. Yeah. But the idea next year is to bring Realtors back, bigger, more varied than ever.
You did touch on this. Yeah, we'll have them on. We'll have you guys on again. That'll be fun.
Season 2.
We'll look at significantly grayer hair, more haggard.
If you've still got hair.
You did touch on this a little bit, but could you walk us through a bit more of the production and development of each episode? So how does that work? I mean, for us, we would have no idea. It's not our field. What's that look like?
That's how we started, by the way.
They're still learning.
So the first thing was buy-in from the realtor. We had a list of people, and when we had multiple in the same area, we were able to kind of chat through and see who was the best fit for moving forward. Once that happens, the next step was to chat to the realtor. What is their views of the area? What's their experience? Why are they in real estate? We wanted to know the ins and outs of how they operate, their values, what's going on in their community. And that gave us a great base from which to build on. We then had a research team that would be looking at the most well-known points in each community, as well as the most kind of hidden gems. So there's certain places you go to. I think Chilliwack was a great example where people might drive through it. A few people might stop and see District 1881. Very limited number of those people would also see something like Garrison. So we wanted to see where these places were for someone who wasn't going to drive to Chilliwack, and show it them and give them a reason to come to these communities. It was a huge part of it. We went down the rabbit hole. There's a lot of times I'm told I'm an unnecessarily confrontational or edgy sometimes in how I write my scripts. I've been told to pare it back a few times, but it was kind of like, let's go all in. Let's know these communities inside and out so that we can give the best parts of these and give the most valuable parts to the home seeker. We then rock up on the day. Sorry, that's not true. We then film for 3 weeks before we go into principal, what we call principal photography, where we're doing all the car stuff, the drone stuff, anything where you're not seeing my face in would tend to be shot on a different day, just because it's not necessary to be there. Realtors' time is money. So we wanted to make sure we have all that subsidiary stuff before launching into the actual episode itself. One day, all in. For me, it would usually start about 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. And we'd be finishing up with the Realtors sometime around 6 or 7 p.m. if all goes well. They'd come a little much later in the day, obviously. But the whole point was trying to work it through chronologically. So what you see in the episode tends to be the structure that we had in the day. Sometimes we have to tweak it slightly. But again, it's about keeping that essence of being real in the tour itself. We never told the realtor what to say. We never fed anything. But by the wealth of research we've done, the work the team has done behind the scenes, we were prepared to kind of take it in multiple directions. And there's hours, guys. There's so many hours we put in for work.
This is overwhelming. Yeah. No wonder you're saying that you're getting gray hair. I mean, we can't tell. That's a lot of work.
Times 14.
Yeah.
Because if you guys have already filmed 14, and it only really started in the spring. You're on site, you have to get permits. I have to compliment you. Like the cinematic, like the quality is so good. All the different angles. Really, really on point with making us realtors look really good.
Well, I think, Justin, you mentioned quite a lot, Netflix quality. And it's not an abstract phrase. Like I come from the world of broadcast TV and cinema, and that's Netflix quality is tangible. And we wanted to make sure we didn't drop below that. That's the minimum bar we're setting.
Good standard.
And
even just the content, like there's a little bit of sarcasm, a humor, educational, but just a little bit of everything.
That's the ingredients for good TV, which is what our North Star was for this. And that was something that we were quite clear with the realtors, is that, guys, this isn't selling sunset. This isn't...
Thank you. Actually,
keep it real, authentic. And you had two of our good friends on as well, Doris and Phil.
Yes. And actually, so I do a lot of research aside from everything else. And I watched your podcast with Doris to get that research in. I was like, okay, Doris likes this, Doris does this. So I was writing things down as I was listening to you. I was like, okay, got to ask Doris about that.
So we assisted with that.
She's
video.
amazing too.
Wonderful.
So, in her own right.
Yeah.
The combination of the two makes for fantastic television. And I was just going to say, to the idea of production, there were two strategic things that were important. Choosing areas within a community that gave a sense of the variety and choice within each market. So, not everything's going to have first-time home buyer appeal. But to show some place like West Vancouver having a range is nice to see. And the other one was to tie in some element of the realtor's history. So someone like Christina, who's lived everywhere, chose Chilliwack. There was an angle of why she would do that. Or with Peter in South Surrey, loved cars. So we tried to bring that in as well. And so reaching around for the areas around real estate to tell a real estate story was kind of what we think helps make it a good show and not, and take it out of the, I'm using air quotes liberally today, but like real estate content space, you know, get a little bit of feeling connection, build a bond with Stephen, you know.
Someone holding their dog as well.
Yes.
So it's like
Which
their
you don't see the dog
accessory.
going for my juggler in that particular shot. We took that one out. Midge is a great dog, but I was annoying him.
Maybe we would get more views.
You never know.
Tune in next week.
I noticed the episodes are typically between 15 to 18 minutes long.
Mhm.
And, you know, our attention span can be very short like a goldfish. So home seekers, how are they responding to the episodes? Obviously, there's been quite a bit of interest going to new cities that they've never visited. What are they watching the episodes on their phone or laptop? But also, when they are like these buyers who are not already familiar with the neighborhood, are they more interested in just getting to know kind of what's in there? Or are they actually home buyers looking for a realtor specifically to represent them?
It's a good question.
So there are a lot of questions there. You know, the one cool thing I will say is that people are watching it everywhere. It's not all happening on REW. I'd say the majority of the engagement that we're getting is coming through. Like YouTube has been tremendously powerful for us this time around. Taking this experience off platform has been transformational. Instagram vertical format video has also been massive, driving tons and tons of views. And your point about the attention span is dead on. That's why we created a universe of content that's short form. So it'll pull out a few minutes out of that 18 and deliver it to you there. And what that's doing and what's really exciting to see is that you asked, you know, what are home seekers getting out of it? These are more often than not home seekers who've been on REW searching in Chilliwack or searching for real estate. And now the recommendation engine is like, hey, we see you've been searching for real estate. You might want to watch this or meet this person or, you know, so it's like, it's an ecosystem play, not just, you know, what's happening on REW. It's definitely happening everywhere at the moment.
So you guys mentioned that you just aired episode 7.
8 just went on
of
Tuesday.
The 14. Okay. So to date, then, which episode has been the most watched and or shared, and why do you think that is?
It's changing drastically. He'll get the specific figures, but it really is. It's changing on the daily. Like we found that Chilliwack, which was episode 2, I think got massive push and had a massive appeal because of how different it was and how it changed people's perceptions. We found Squamish then surpassed that when it launched in the first couple of days because Angie is a force of nature up there. And if you haven't met her, I strongly encourage reaching out because she's wonderful. And then it's kind of gone that way the whole time. And I think what's starting to happen is the realtors themselves are starting to realize that they can kind of push some more and it's becoming a little bit competitive and in a good way. So it is changing. I think at the moment, as of today, I believe Coquitlam is the most off-platform views. So I can't speak to the guide itself, but you will be able to talk about that.
Who's the Coquitlam agent?
That's Krista Lapp.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. She's great. Yeah.
Excuse me. As of today. I don't know if we really should be announcing these things. Tune in next week. Mr. Peter Delecki in South Surrey is now our most viewed, with Doris and Phil being having the highest brand impression across the network. And then Squamish, the most engagement.
And then converting it, the toughest thing that I often speak with agents at my office is converting the follower into a lead, into a sale. So do you find that maybe the Squamish and the Chilliwack agent has more success because there's less agents working in that area?
Potentially, but there's some big names working in those areas, right? So I think the brand name recognition is definitely something that you could attribute. But it was never, Jenny was never sold as like this will get you more leads. You know, it's not a lead gen product. It's brand. It's the same reason why you would put your face on anything. We just happen to have the biggest bus in BC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I say, what's exciting is that there's direct attribution. The home seeker, right, says, I just watched your video. I'm moving to Squamish from
Hawaii was the one. Yeah.
Wow.
So just a side note though, because we're talking about all these areas, it's interesting to hear the response though for Chilliwack and Squamish. I would imagine that even for local people, they would be interested in those areas because to some degree, both of those areas are slightly more affordable than the city center. And they're also incredibly growing communities. So even for local people wanting to invest, it would make the most sense.
For sure.
And we see a lot of, to be honest with you, we see a lot of traffic going to Chilliwack. And, Cloverdale is probably number one. Well, actually, I can't speak to this month, but it's been at the top of a lot of lists. And I had to go to Cloverdale to actually see what was going on over there. And, if only we had an episode there, save me the trip.
Fair?
I'm told. Yes, there's so much excitement
there.
Yes.
But I think people inherently want to know what someone else is saying. And I think also when it's an immigrant with a funny accent, they want to know more. Like a project I did outside of REW was about cities across Canada, not real estate related at all. And tens of thousands of views. And people were just like, oh, he pronounced this wrong or he said this. And they're all locals in the area that just want to be like, what's being said? So I think you'll always have that. And I think what we've managed to do in REW that is a very difficult thing to do on the internet is it's positive. People, for the vast majority, it's been a positive reception, which has been...
Can you imagine a positive conversation about real estate?
I love it.
I was nerding out when Simon was on our episode.
She did.
I was. It's my favorite episode. And now you guys are my favorite episode.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Sorry, Simon.
Thanks, Bubbly.
Because being able to watch buyers' behaviors and how they navigate through websites, we would never be able... I think you guys share it really well in terms of what's the most searched neighborhood, and you guys advertise that. We don't get that from the real estate board at all.
And we could do so much more.
We will be doing so much more.
We will do so much more,
yeah. You guys have so much tools.
You got to bring the two sides. Like, there's no point keeping the market apart, right? The only way to, really fundamentally make real estate a positive experience as a whole is to make sure that you're as informed as possible.
Transparency too.
So that ultimately you can be the best guide to a home seeker,
We want a tip to offer to our listeners. What are the top 3 things that you can offer to agents right now who want to position themselves as neighborhood experts?
I mean, I have my potential tips.
I would say go for it, Stephen.
I think if you want to be an expert, you have to be willing to put your face and your name to it in a variety of different mediums. I think social is the easiest. But that's the first step. I remember, Adina, from the pre-season pilots, one of the things I loved when we were chatting and seeing if we wanted to enter into this relationship together was she posts quizzes about the community. So you have to go on, you're on your Instagram. The polls, exactly. Yeah.
Yes,
and I got so competitive with them. And I was like DMing her. I was like, no, go back, just get rid of it. So I think that's one of the things is show your expertise. I believe, and this is kind of where some of the ethos of the show comes from, you have to be authentic. People don't want to be sold to all the time.
Real is sexy.
Yes, we, all the 14 that we worked with on this series, we start the day, we're like, look, we're going to say some stuff. And I don't want you to filter yourself, because if you start doing that, we go down the road of you not being authentic and it loses the whole idea of what this show is meant to be. So I think social media is a tool that can be utilized massively. And I think differentiating yourself on social media is important. Don't follow what the other person is doing because they have 100,000 views. Might not work for you.
Yeah, I was going to say double down on that. For us, differentiation is the cornerstone of how we're trying to build a brand, by being different. And so if you're thinking about content, for the love of goodness, don't do another In the House podcast, because there's already a good one out there. Look for what's missing. You know what I mean? That's what you guys did to start this. And so see what people are not getting from the market and concentrate there. As Stephen said, copycat is not the is not the most efficient recipe for gaining that true expertise. It might gain you a couple of impressions, but real estate, long game, hey?
Yes, absolutely.
We're going to ask you guys this because you would know better than anybody. What can an agent do to improve their online,
on camera
presence?
As in being on camera?
Yeah, because it's a fear that a lot of people have, right? Seeing them being in front of the camera and then having to view themselves on camera.
Look, I went to a conservatory for classical acting back years and years and years ago for 3 years. And
that's a fancy word for school.
Yes, yeah. Conservatoire, they tried to call it. All right, guys. I think there's no substitute for just getting in front of a camera. But I think after you put yourself in front of a camera frequently, be it updates on a laptop web camera, be it someone else holding a gimbal doing a house tour, you want to start moving into the realm of finding people around you that can elevate that experience. What we found with RealTours was a lot of the people that were participating, a lot of the realtors that participated with us had some kind of camera experience. But it was the ones that were comfortable enough in what they were doing to let someone else direct the day or lead the day. They're the ones that were the most comfortable throughout. Everyone got there by the end because 9 hours with me, you have no other option.
Make it stop.
Yeah, but it is that first thing. Like, if you're not willing to put a video out, this is going to be real cringe.
It's okay, be authentic. Yeah. Go ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We used to, when we did film work in school, conservatoire, we used to have to film ourselves eating food. And when you see yourself eating spaghetti, you realize that that's kind of the bottom of the barrel and everything from there is going up. So like never get shown to the public. You don't have to show that. You don't have to share it. But just get comfortable with your face on camera. Get comfortable with your voice. It is all about being comfortable. And once you have that there, it just works.
And so would you recommend someone just filming them on their phone or talking to the
so
mirror?
Right now.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I still have the visual of the spaghetti.
Yeah,
so good.
and a messy spaghetti as well. My thing is phone or camera, because I think when you talk to a mirror, you get that immediate feedback. And I think also it's flipped. So visually, you're still not seeing yourself. When you see yourself on a camera, you're seeing yourself in real, not the flipped mirror that you see. And it tends to trigger something in our brains as human beings as that's odd, because we don't tend to see that as ourselves. And we're viewing a version of ourselves that isn't what we were expecting to see. And we don't hear it because we hear from here and everyone else hears from in here. That's a lot of hearing in one sentence.
And also pointing to parts of your body that no one can see.
Yes. This is a podcast, right? Yeah. So I'm pointing to my throat.
Even audio medium.
You guys have to watch this on
Tune
video, I guess.
Yeah.
No, but you hear and you see things differently. So I think a mirror is a great start, but I think ultimately it has to be video review. And eventually you'll get to the point where you're more comfortable in yourself, or you just don't care anymore. But it's phases. You know, talking to a camera in a studio environment is very different to walking around the city with a camera in your face and other people looking at you and people waving in the background and being obnoxious. So it's just about building that confidence, I think.
We talked about differentiation and we got to stand out amongst our fellow competition. So what elements would you suggest a video should have, just even basic things that it needs to contain to get it more engaging?
Definitely a Stephen question.
Look, I think it needs to be authentic to yourself. To say there's any elements per se, the only element I could suggest would be knowledge. There has to be some value to someone to watch this thing. We try and walk the line of entertainment versus knowledge in RealTours. And I think anyone who's making content needs to be able to do the same. Give someone a reason to stay watching. Give them a reason to watch the extra minute. What else will they get out of it? But also make it fun. You talked a little bit about the sarcasm, but little kind of like quips that happen in RealTours. Like, that is what I bring to the table. If Justin was to host the show, it'd be a very different show because he's bringing something that is inherently authentic to himself. So don't be afraid to be that authentic self. But anything in terms like, oh, you have to have a drone. Oh, you have to have this. I don't think that's the right way to think about it.
I mean, there are some structural things, right? Like your first 5 seconds are super important. So maybe don't open on a lavish title sequence, of your logo. There are things like that where, you must just think about what would grab your attention as well. And I would say taking a point of view, any point of view is key. No one's tuning in for tepid discourse. They want someone with whom they can disagree or agree with. That's where you'll see interaction. Not that that's what generates watches, but I would say having a perspective, a reason, an intent behind making the thing you're making does so much to drive and pave over any sins you may commit on the production end.
Yes.
By just having a reason to make the thing in the first place and being confident in that.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, though, I think all that's massively important. But I think where most people fail is what comes after. Because if you post a video and just walk away,
oh yes,
there's a community there that wants to engage with you. People want to hear what you have to say and write back to them, and there's more to it. So for the people who are just doing a video and shooting it out into the void, I think they're losing 60-70% of the potential return on that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Very good
And
point.
so as realtors, we don't want to spend even more time trying to analyze what's happening on the back end and algorithms. So would you recommend that they hire someone who knows how to do SEO optimization? And,
my opinion is that, and not everyone back at the headquarters will thank me for saying so, but I would say your return on investment in SEO is going to be negligible.
Mm-hmm.
Companies like ours spend hundreds of thousands of dollars ranking for the things you'll want to rank for. So that's just not pick the fights you can win. I would say that making something make sense to others is one of the greatest evergreen, always on opportunities for realtors. News is always coming out. Sometimes it's good, most of the time it's bad, and a flash opinion will come out. This is a real estate town. Like, it's a spectator sport. There's lots to talk about, and sharing your authentic perspective with a community of people who like your perspective or disagree with it, as long as they feel something about it, is the heart of an engaged community. But making something else make sense for others. So I hate the word reaction content, but we've been thinking a lot about it later because there's lots of news out there. What's missing is context, meaning, an association to me as a newcomer, or Stephen as a newly minted millionaire TV celebrity.
Get that in writing, folks.
Yeah.
Heard that today.
which is exactly
when you
what
get on TV,
we
Stephen.
were working on. We were working on busting the myths or behind the headlines, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's more and more of that stuff that I think creates interesting new content in the space. Remember, I said create something that doesn't exist before. Well, your unique lived experience generates a perspective for people who respect you. And places like REW and everywhere else are great opportunities to build that brand, that authority. And so your audience comes with you on that journey, really. But that's why I say I think one of the best ways to invest your precious time is to share your views on what's going on.
Absolutely.
And maybe what should go on. Be so bold as to give your opinion about what people should be
unpopular
doing.
opinion.
So we just
Might turn out to be popular, Jenny.
it might not. Well, we'll see. You have to be comfortable with any reaction, as you say.
Exactly.
But with all those changes to the Airbnb rules, we just filmed a video on that because I had seen a lot, and it was great that realtors, if you did this, it was wonderful to get the word out. But, reiterating what's happening. We haven't posted the video yet. I think it's going up today or tomorrow. But we did have something controversial, some might say, at the end, which was, okay, I'll say it on the podcast. It's our podcast. So it was kind of like,
we can always edit it.
Yeah,
after.
no, we're not going to edit it.
Yeah.
We're not going to edit it because actually our listeners do appreciate this. So it was reiterating what was happening with the changes to Airbnb. But then there was a question that was posed as to whether or not it would be successful or not, because the reason they're making the changes, right, is to try and make long-term housing available to all. But then we had talked briefly and touched on the fact that the government and a lot of the municipalities also own, I'm going to say it, a lot of land. And they recently passed something where they don't actually have to share with the public what land that it is that they own. So perhaps we could build housing there. Just
Sorry,
a thought.
if you can't hear it, my eyebrows are furrowed.
Right? But anyhow.
They're speaking
But
to
you're
me
right,
now.
They're vibrating into the microphone.
So saying something different, and we have clients that are working for the government. They might not appreciate it, but it's true. That's true.
It's an unfolding story as well, right? Like
Yeah.
people need to realize that there's going to be follow-ups and more to come. And what you read,
Absolutely.
this is the role of the guide, right? Someone that you can return to help make something challenging but easier.
Mm-hmm.
And that if you see yourself as that in the content game, oh my goodness, there's gold there, I think.
I think
And I would like to have that conversation because I say I've got two perspectives on the whole
Is
Airbnb
this a proposal
thing.
for us to be on your next show? Then?
This is one of many things where
We need
they
to talk after we wrap,
for
yeah.
sure. They try and make changes, but it's like if you genuinely want to help, as you say, the home seekers or home buyers genuinely have ownership or something for themselves and their families that they can put down roots and build something. Why not change the policy in a different way? Why not have something creative where it will be impactful? Like I don't
Not
like
a
the smoke
45 square
screens.
meter
Not
Airbnb.
okay with the smoke screens, right? Instead of penalizing people that have, they took the risk to invest maybe in a secondary property.
Mhm.
But a lot of them aren't necessarily raking in the dough. Everything's gone up in expenses. So this is an important component. I think it works for better communities, right? It makes for better communities if we touch on these subjects. Anyhow, a different episode for you. There you go.
Yeah. We make weird decisions as a people, as a society, really. And it's always good, I think. I'd love to see more questioning of things. And I'd love to see more participation, meaningful participation from everybody, because I think it's the only way to really get the public officers to pay attention is to hit them up on Twitter, everyone.
Yeah. Well, is it called Twitter still?
Is it?
It'll always be Twitter to me.
Okay. So what can we expect to see Realtors 2.0 version?
Yeah.
What changes would you like to make?
My biggest question is your facial hair, Stephen. Have you begun strategizing on
I'm thinking
the look?
Viking braided beard.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Justin sold, no, he didn't sell the show, but he talked about my hair at length on May 4th when we were presenting this idea. So it's become a hot topic.
It's been insured as an asset to the brand now, yes.
I think it's about building on what we've done and trying to, what I'd love to see, my number one thing going into a season 2 would be more community engagement and community involvement. To what degree that would look like or how it would be shaped, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe we start talking to people in the community who are living there already. But I think that's the thing that I'd love to grow on, is that we're having this tour, but the tour can be more wholesome in the sense of what we're covering. I think it's pretty wholesome in terms of content in general, but that's the big thing I'd love to do, as well as I'd love to up the production value and kind of show the uniqueness of these kind of communities. When we were doing the Squamish episode, we had talked about the different ways that you can view Squamish. You can view it from the boat, from the helicopter,
mountain.
From the mountain, exactly. Like we'd love to be able to have the time and the resources and the buy-in from the community and our audience to be able to expand on that kind of stuff. And that's where I'd love to see it go. More.
Good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can't overstate how much we learned making the first season. Production, I could see us easily doubling again without spending another dollar. We just learned so much about what was good, what was bad. We've met so many amazing people that are now part of our community. We've got relationships that we didn't have before. So I'd love to definitely take production to even higher highs. But I would say for me, a little bit of what you said, Stephen, like the notion of getting local voices, like other voices, like even simple vox pops, like my favorite coffee spot is this, or even why I love the living here. So capturing more content, and not necessarily, maybe it doesn't all go into the episode, but there's certainly what we've seen in season 1 is that there's appetite for content beyond the episode. And so creating much richer, deeper, longer stories, revisiting, later in the year and, creating it more as an event when it happens. And then afterwards it reverts to being this evergreen content resource, which is great. But I would say for me, I'd love to improve production, make more content. And then I think the very new challenge is trying to do it twice, or at least in another location that isn't our home. Will be our new ground this year.
We got
That's
that.
very
That's going to be
exciting.
fun.
It's going to be fun, yeah.
You'll have to figure out what you're going to do with your beard for that one. For the home seekers, what can they expect to receive when they receive the guide? For Justin.
So, look, the guide the vision for it is to be a space where the best voices in real estate come together. At the moment, it's very heavy on the REW voices, but we're trying to tell stories about people in our community. Where we want to take that to next year is to take it far more into resource territory. So even certain things like trying to come up with a common set of language. There's a lot of acronyms in real estate, says the man from REW. Yeah, but
a lot.
There's a lot
This
of
is a downloadable guide for the home seekers.
Think about something that's more instantly queryable through your phone, through our website, on an app. That's where we're going to with the guide. So a living experience, not a static one. Okay. So when we refer to the guide, we're referring to a space on our platform that contains all the content that isn't stuff you can buy and rent. Okay. Yeah. Okay, So that's where our data will live. Like that's what I say, we've got so much more to share, but we need the vehicle to be able to do that for everybody in the same space, not a special place for one and a special place for another.
Stephen, you're brand new to Canada. Like, how long have you lived here?
I will be 2 years next week. So I'm still legally a newcomer. Okay. I think it's like legally the Canadian government say 5 years.
Seriously?
Yeah. You can get good benefits though. Don't worry.
What have you found the most surprising about our city after going through with these realtors?
This is where I get cancelled.
Yes. It's been nice working with you.
I think, look, I've lived all over the world, and I was 2 years in LA. And when I was making my decision to come to Canada, I assumed that it would be more USA than I originally expected. And in some ways I was right, in some ways I wasn't right at all. There is such a distinct Canadian culture that has put me on my back foot for a couple of months when you land. I think it's the same with every newcomer to the city. But what has surprised me the most is people's willingness to engage. Justin made a comment yesterday, and this is kind of immigrant community specific, but you find an Irish person in Vancouver, they'll have any other Irish person will help them out. You know, there's a camaraderie, but I've seen it reflected and replicated throughout all the people we've met through REW. The realtors that I've worked with on RealTours regularly sending me messages, texting me. I have my lad Kavari, who's our downtown Vancouver Cold Harbour. He is trying to get me to go rock climbing now for about 4 months. And I don't think I'm going to escape it. Yeah,
it's fun. You should try it.
No, I should. And I'm just worried I'm going to fall and die, and then there's no season 2. But it's
fair enough.
Yeah, it's been the biggest kind of comfort that this city is that open. It is that willing to kind of put the hand out and help and chat to you. And I think the reason why we're now looking at going from work permit to permanent resident. So you're not getting rid of me anytime soon in Canada.
Amazing. Well, we always round out with 5 rapid fire questions.
I got one for you though, Jenny.
Okay.
Where would you do a realtor? What's the neighborhood do you think needs to?
Well, I live in Burnaby, and I've been marketing Burnaby for 21 years.
Yeah.
And so I was amongst the, development community. I was called the condo queen, like Burnaby condo queen, because I was wrapping up a lot of condos and high rises for developers. I would launch them. So if I didn't want to do Burnaby, is this anywhere in the world or only in BC?
Let's keep it to Western Canada.
Western Canada. Let's see. See, I don't do too much traveling within BC.
Let me ask you this another way. If you had to do Burnaby, do you think you could show off a different side of Burnaby to Phil and Doris?
I would say so, because I live, work, and play in the area. Everything I do, it's all in Burnaby, and I think people feel you escape that. Like you leave that if you move to like Vancouver. But I have the best practitioners, like we have the best parks. People feel like we have like heavy traffic. I definitely don't feel heavy traffic. We definitely have way better roads.
People talk a lot of smack about Burnaby as well.
I feel so too. Yeah.
Burnaby is
those towers over there.
actually Burnaby as a municipality is a lot more wealthy than Vancouver.
Well, we heard. I don't think it actually made it into the episode. Maybe for fact-checking purposes. So you guys can do the fact-checking this time.
It's a fact.
But it's the wealthiest municipality in North America is what I heard.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's not run on a deficit.
Okay.
And it's all down to air rights, I believe. The selling of air rights.
Air rights.
Oh,
yes. Because I lived in one of the towers where we sold air rights to Rogers or TELUS. And that's how the building made income.
Makes sense.
There you go.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so Burnaby season 2.
Sign me up.
Don't joke. We actually will be a challenge. We fully intend to have areas be able to be covered by multiple people if we can find multiple angles for the neighborhood.
There's so much variety. It's like a rich tapestry in each of these municipalities that I'm sure that many different people would offer a perspective.
We were never going to get the whole way in 18 minutes.
No,
you know what I
can't
mean?
do it.
We left a lot on the table there.
I actually did a video in Burnaby for Oakwyn.
Yeah.
And I think I got like 250,000
Wow,
views on
that's
YouTube
impressive.
video on a commercial.
Wow.
On our podcast, we'll be talking to Jenny about how to get 250,000 views. That's congratulations.
It was probably the very last shot where they zoomed out of me looking like outside of a high-rise tower, but then my whole backside's like showing, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, I didn't know that they did that.
But what you're saying is,
you
Jenny,
got the
that's
views.
what I need to do.
Yes,
Right.
yes, you're missing that.
The whole
that's the
season
element
2
you're
filmed
missing
from
in the
behind.
video.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll start doing my glutes now.
Okay, let's start with the first question.
So there's 6 rapid fire because we forgot the first intro question.
If you can switch roles with someone at REW, what position would it be for the day?
Just for the day. Is that a payday?
That's still payday.
Sure.
Still payday.
Whoever the highest paid is.
You're cheeky.
No, gosh, I don't know. Who would you swap with?
I think
Stephen?
I think I'd have to take you or Simon, because then I just all my proposals that I have on my desks with like budgets and stuff drawn up. I'm like, yep, signed, done. No, genuinely, I think. Do I get the knowledge?
Yes,
Or is it just me?
yes.
I think you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I stare at you across the office and I'm like, God, that man has things in his brain that you just want to crack him open and just see what's going on.
And we're into after hours.
Welcome to the podcast. I think you.
I'll cop out and say Stephen.
Okay, that's sweet. What city?
It's all about the hair.
It is.
Yes.
One day would be
That's the
worth a
one thing you would
lifetime.
probably change. Like you would like shave it off or
Exactly. Yeah.
Gone.
Thwart him.
for the day. Yeah.
What city or market anywhere in the world would you like to take RealTours?
I just got back from Madrid, and I would very much like to go back to Madrid. So I'll take Madrid for $5,000.
Anywhere warm, anywhere sunny and warm. with
Madrid
the
is
beach.
warm.
Yeah, I'll take Madrid. I would be interested. I don't know how well it would work, but I'd be interested in Hawaii because of there's a lot of cultural, political stuff about buying real estate in Hawaii that I think is an interesting landscape, and we could look at through a lens that is quite unique. And it's also Hawaii, so we get a holiday in Hawaii. Yeah.
Yep.
Do you have a nickname at work? And if you do, what is it?
Do you have a bleep button?
Yeah.
Anyway.
We can make sound effects happen. Yes.
Use a chicken. You get called Stephen a lot because it's funny.
I do.
Stepin.
Yeah,
It's
there's
PH Stephen. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Some people have trouble when they see the name, how to pronounce the first name, which I always think is easier of the two. But Stepin has become
Or you say Stephen with a very Irish accent. Oh, Stephen! Oh, Stephen! How's it going, Stephen?
I'm just typing on the computer and I just hear in the background, Stephen! It's like, oh, Justin wants me. I don't think I have a nickname. There's certainly none that's anyone's telling me.
No.
Justin.
I have a nickname that just follows me around through no fault of my own. It's not very interesting, but people, if you ever hear me called JT, that is usually me being called. But that's just what they say in front of my face. So I have no idea what they call me behind the back.
I'll tell you guys later.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about it later. Describe yourself in 3 words. Let's start with Justin.
Gosh. Gonna just have to string together 3 words that make sense. Always getting better.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good.
got like a sentence out of it.
I know, right?
Yeah, see,
Complete
it's really interesting because some of our guests will say a sentence, and then some will actually give individual adjectives.
I mean, if we're talking today, very, very tired. Because we're still deep in post-production with RealTours and stuff. I think in general, getting it done, like, I mean, there might be a reason why I'm tired as well, but I will commit to getting something done, particularly if I say I will, much to my partner's frustration. She's like, you don't have to do it. It's like, no, I said I would.
We normally ask this question at the beginning, but we're adding it to the end, is what is your superpower?
Mine sounds so grandiose and cheesy.
No, say it.
Yeah. The way I describe it is that I think I can see the future in a little way. Because I'm a designer, I spend most of my life thinking about the future. And so I feel like I've got a good instinct about how things are going to go. It served me, once I've gotten better at it, it served me well enough over the years. So if I do have one, it isn't the ability to grow a moustache. That's this is 3 weeks of growth.
I shaved yesterday.
I told you I'm 47.
I have learned to appreciate what other people have told me, and that's that I can put people at ease. Be it on camera, be it on podcasts, and I think that's something I took for granted when I was younger, and over time I've learned to enjoy about myself. But I think that's the one that has been most useful to me.
Looking at us.
What are your superpowers?
Are you actually wanting us to answer?
Yes.
Being a woman. No.
Damn straight.
It changes depending on making decisions quick and just going, like listening to my intuition. Yeah.
Underrated decision making. How about you?
Fierce, kind, psychic.
Nice. We should talk.
Yeah.
Start playing some
So
lottery.
it's called manifester.
Our final question, just for rounding everything out, where will our listeners be able to find you, and how can agents sign up for the next season? I mean, you're probably already full, but would they go to the same place?
Nope, we're not full. And I would say if you're interested in working with REW, we do a lot of stuff. So you can find us. I mean, if you reach out to us on Instagram, we'll find you. I'm not very interesting to follow, but Stephen has channels.
Well, I do my own thing as well, or I try to do my own thing, and my own YouTube. It's just my name, same with my Instagram. But in terms of RealTours in season 2, we have an email, don't we?
Oh yeah, realtors@rew.ca. Yeah.
Okay.
If you be like, hi, I'm interested, we'll get the message.
Okay.
Awesome. I got someone working on it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It was so lovely to have you on our. I wish you guys had more time with us. But we are going to have you back when you guys are doing season 2 and see how that's going. But it was so lovely to have you guys on our show.
Or maybe you'd be on camera with us. Who knows?
Stephen is also trying to start a podcast, just so you know.
Yes. Yeah. I'm taking all this
we got
info.
the perfect producer.
Amazing.
If you don't want to do it,
have a conversation.
I'm hearing collab.
Yeah,
I'm hearing collab.
I told you, collaboration is what we do.
The key here. Yes.
Thank you for having us. It's really cool to be able to share with your audience as well. I feel like I've been talking to businessmen and home seekers a lot, so it's nice to be able to frame this cool thing that we've been working on with you guys. Thank you. So thanks for giving us opportunity.
Thank you so
for coming
much.
in person too.
Yes.
Any excuse to get out of the office.
Pretty much.
No, it's been great, guys. Thank you.